The topic for today is how to write your Epiphany bridge story, origin story, or origin blueprint, as I'd like to call it. I'm going to skip this one because well, actually, I'm not. Tell me, guys, in the chat, have you tried to write your Epiphany bridge story yet? Have you not started, or do you not know what the hell we're talking about here? Okay, it might take a couple of seconds for these things to come in. Let me see one or two of them anyway, that you can hear me okay. And yeah, working now. So have you guys started your, yeah, one, excellent, yes, yes, excellent, not yet, perfect. So from that first few people anyway, everyone knows what we're talking about, and so it's a good start. So listen, this is one of the problems I had at the start, and I think it's a problem that most people have when they're doing their Epiphany bridge, is that it's hard to see the picture when you're sitting in the frame. When you are the story, it's so hard to see what the story is. And even for me, it's funny when I actually write my own Epiphany bridge. It's much harder than looking at someone else's story. And recently, I've been rewriting some stories and writing new stories. And again, I find that it's so much harder for myself than it is to look at other people's information and see where the story is. Um, so, what are the difference between an Epiphany bridge story, origin story, and an origin blueprint? So, the Epiphany bridge story, basically, this is Russell's thing, the Epiphany bridge story, which is basically more around the product rather than your origin. So your origin story would be your original story of why you got started. Well, this is my take on it. And your Epiphany bridge story could be an origin story, but it also could be about your first product or your second product or your third product, etc. So there could be many. You really have kind of only one origin story, and you could have multiple Epiphany bridge stories. And then the origin blueprint is how this all comes together. You might have multiple stories and they all come in different forms, long forms, small form, short forms for emails, Facebook and funnels, etc. What I'm not going to do today is I'm not going to get into the weeds and tell you how to correct your grammar, get all that stuff right. There's apps like Google Docs, Grammarly, and Hemingway app, which is really good for getting all that down, and it's automated. And I don't need to do it. The one thing I would say to you is when you're getting your information down initially, don't worry about the grammar. Don't worry about any of that. Just get your ideas down first, okay? And what I am going to show you today is a snapshot of the OB method. This is what I used for writing over 10 stories for myself and hundreds for other entrepreneurs all over the world in different niches. Um, so firstly, I'm going to discuss a common belief that I see people have about their story. Basically, it's that my story is too complicated. I'm not going to be able to write an Epiphany Bridge story about it. Um, when a client comes to me and is paying me to do the story, when they say that, I keep my mouth shut. But for you guys, it's not true. Okay, you have a block. You have to decide you're going to do this, and you just do it. Okay. Um, it is doable. I've never done. I've done over 100 stories, and everyone's possible. It's just basically again, it's taking it back to that quote. It's hard to see. It's hard to see the picture when you're sitting in the frame. Okay, but you have to believe you're going to be able to do it and have fun with it. And I'm going to show you how to do it as well in a little bit. Okay. So there's 4 steps to writing your stories. There's the information dump, which is just getting the information out of your head down on a page. Okay. And then there's editing, and editing. Okay. Um, what I see, one of the mistakes people make is when they're getting the information dumped down, they're trying to edit as they're doing it. It's actually very hard to do. It's near on impossible because it's 2 different sides of the brain actually. Um, so you need to just use in one instance get the information down, and I advise people to take their time, take it over 2 or 3 days because you read the questions, you answer the questions, you go away, you go, oh, I could add that, and you come back and you look at it again and you change some stuff. So when I'm doing the stories for people, which are the longer form stories, I tell them over 3 days. For the shorter form, 100 words to 200 words, which we're going to do today, you could probably do it in one sitting, but but again, if you have the time, I'd leave it. I'd leave it go for a little bit. Okay, I'd take a bit of time with it and have fun, as I say. So how did I develop this? I developed this, obviously, with Russell Brunson and Todd Brown, to name a couple of the copywriters out there. I've also done comedy writing, performing myself. And I've also studied screenwriters, book writers as well, and taking some tips from them because, like, listen, the copywriters are only, they're all about the sales side of things, but I look at the story writing concept as an entertainment possibility as well. Okay. So here are some of the clients that I've worked with through Funnel Rolodex. Jerry's an amazing copywriter. He spent time learning about our past, our business, and our offering, and then created a round and touching story. And the funny thing about this is she's actually a writer herself. So it kind of sometimes I don't believe some of the people that I've been able to work with here. Another one here. This is actually an Olympic swimmer. Jerry takes his work seriously and communicates quickly. He's keen to collaborate and combine his own ideas with yours. I know I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, but just to show you. So, what is the Epiphany Bridge story structure, or the 7 p.m. formula, as I like to call it? Okay, and this is the right brain side of things. Okay, so here's a little short questionnaire. It's the questions. It's basically the Epiphany Bridge questions. Um, and I'm flying through this now because we have a lot to cover, but um, it might be a little bit small. I'll see if I can bring it up a bit. Right. Why did you start your journey? What's the internal beliefs that's stopping you from achieving your goal? What external beliefs are stopping you? What's the wall problem? What's the epiphany that you experienced? What plan did you create? What conflict did you experience along the way, and what's the end result you achieved? I know there's one other there, but it's behind it's behind the button there. What benefits did you achieve for your clients? Okay, that's basically the questions, and what I suggest you do is get it down, and I can if you're looking for that PDF, I can send you a copy of that afterwards. Maybe I'll share it with Lee and he can send it out to you. What I'd suggest you do, if you're really having problems, start with that, print it off, get back to old school, print it off, one page in front of you, one word under each heading, make sure the structure is right. And once you have the structure of your story, then start expanding it with sentences and words. Don't try and write it from the start to the bottom. Okay. Sorry. Now the last. So why an epiphany bridge story? I want to give you two examples here. So here's my wow pitch, and this is what I have up in my LinkedIn profile. I help clients win with sales, partnering, and online marketing. I have 27 years of experience in sales, marketing, and channel development, including sales funnel strategy, marketing, direct sales, partnering, and copywriting. I worked with some of the largest brands in the world, including IBM and Microsoft, and I've helped over 100 companies with their sales, branding, and story. I helped one client 2.5x their turnover to over 5 million. Okay. Now, listen, I'm even impressed by that, but is it someone that you want to learn from, or is it someone that you want to do the stuff for you? I would see that as a person that, okay, I'm going to pay him and I'm going to pay him to do a job. Okay. Now, here is one of my stories, a short story. Okay. A short Epiphany Beach story. After being made redundant in 2008, I realized the world was changing and I needed to go deep into online marketing. A lot of marketing is just pay the money and hope for the best, and that never interests me. I really dug deep into results-based marketing and I found out about a little-known trick called the OB method. Today, I've helped over 100 clients, including one that have added over 90K monthly residual income. Okay, now that's a short story. Okay, now it doesn't cover all the headings, but look, backstory, external belief, aha moment, and how I help. Okay, so what I did when I was writing that, I had one of those pages. I filled out all the boxes. Some of them didn't seem to have much information. I really wanted a very short story, and I just cut out the junk and I cut it down to this. And I tried to basically, again, it's like get it out of your head and edit. Okay. Um, Now let's go to Phil's story. Okay. Now Phil is one of our members, and he kindly volunteered that I was going to work with him. And so we worked together over the last few days, and I'm going to bring up his story now. Just going to have to go off here a little bit for a second. And Phil's questionnaire and Phil's story. Okay. So, so I've created my own 7 p.m. formula questionnaire, which has a lot more detail than the short questions that I showed you. And that's okay. You don't necessarily need all the questions that I have, but when I'm working with clients and from the experience and from the people that I've learned for, there's other information and other details that I want to potentially get from people. And I want to make sure I'm getting the right stories. So sometimes you have to, when you're working with clients, you want to go back and ask them. You want to go back and ask them that. Um, you make sure you're getting the best information and make sure you're coming at it from different angles to get the best story. And that's why I've created the 7 p.m. formula questionnaire. Okay. So, but these are basically the same questions as we saw on the sheet on the PDF a minute ago. So so his Phil's backstory. He came in with a backstory. I needed more income to care for my invalid wife while transitioning into retirement. Now that's, listen, powerful stuff. But I felt it, for his Epiphany Bridge story, it wanted to be. I needed it to be something that's going to catch the right people that he wanted to engage with. So I asked him to, can you go back and tell me about an achievement in your life relative to helping students engage better with your online courses. So his whole thing is about training course, teaching course creators how to have more engaged clients and ultimately create more profit. Okay. And he went down and answered these questions. I'm not going to get into the questions because I'm not going to get into the detail just here. But he came back. This is all his work. He came back with that. Okay. Now, and then I literally I asked him a couple of questions, and then I created this. So this is all his, okay? And I'm going to kind of read this down. And if you look at this, so basically I've taken out the questions, literally just taken out the questions, and the rest of it is the document, okay? And now I've added in what's in grey, and what's in red is what I went to add back and asked him a second time about. So if you see it, and this is his story. When making my online course, I discovered how to go beyond just making an info dump and made videos and other course material interactive. And this not only helped with student engagement, but also allowed me to track student understanding and mastery. I'm regarded as an expert in my professional field as a music teacher, but I had low confidence that I could succeed online. Now, I'd added in this. On top of that, my time and income was limited because I cared for my invalid wife and I'm transitioning into retirement. While searching for a way to succeed online, I purchased course after course with great content but poor execution. It made me think that there had to be a better way. After over 7 iterations, I eventually created a successful online course for my students and realized I could help others achieve the same with their students. Even my department head mentioned that my student ratings were best in the college, and I have been asked to help my peers. It was then I decided to learn more about instructional design and modern interactive learning technologies so I could help course creators. Since then, I have become the go-to source for expertise to help online course creators achieve better student and business results. Today, my clients achieve higher verifiable student success rates, lower dropout rates, and more cross-sells, upsells, and better online reputations. Okay, and that's it. That is the Epiphany Bridge story in a nutshell. Now, look, You could probably tidy this up a little bit more. I think this is a little bit repeating here now that I read it again. But that's it in a nutshell. You can make it longer or you can make it shorter. The one thing I like to do, and I kind of, so it's kind of like the cherry on the top, as I like to call it, is have an impactful opener. Okay. And I went back at the end of the story and I asked Phil one further question. Tell me about a moment you realized that you had to change your course structure so that your students would be more engaged and happier. Um, yeah, I don't think I can. I don't think I can move. I can move it. I can move it over here. So I just Lee is asking me to move that button. Um, so yeah, so tell me about a moment you realized that you changed your course structure so that your students would be more engaged and happier. So he came back with this. I'm not going to read this, but then I kind of made it a little bit more punchy. It's like, again, we have to think about, at this day and age, you want to catch people's attention, okay? And I like to create an opener that catches people's attention. And that opener here, your students are going to fail. Your low student reviews look bad for our department and frankly for you. And you have to stop teaching them online and go back to face next month. I was sitting in front of my department head. I could feel the sweat in the back of my neck, and I realized that I could do nothing different to improve. And I realized I had to do something different to improve success rates fast. I'm going to tell you more about that in a second, but first let me tell you more about where I started. Okay, this is potential opener in certain circumstances, and if you feel comfortable with it, of course. So you put that at the start here, bang, and then you might cut this down a little bit, and then you start off with your Epiphany bit story here again. And it's an ideal maybe email introduction to you and your business, and it just catches them, tells them about the struggles you have that they can associate with because they're course creators as well, and all that. And that's it. Simple. There is more, and I have more to show you and talk to you about, and let's see what that is, because to be honest, I'm not even sure anymore. So, here's some of my low points. Okay. Um, um, that I have that really held me back along the way. But to be honest, now they're front and center in my stories and in potential stories in the future. I got a D in my finals in English in school in Ireland. I repeated over 40 exams, getting a 4 year degree in 6 years. I found out at 22 I'm dyslexic. I've been made redundant twice by the same boss. Been booed off stage of a comedy club. I moved from country with not enough money to pay a deposit on a rental property with my wife and son. These are now badges of honor and not things that are holding me back anymore. So, in ways, this has been so good for me as well. Another review from one of the guys I worked with, 10 out of 10. Jerry's guidance helped me grow our opt-in from 1 to 14% almost overnight. Um, Okay, Jerry, how can you help me further? Great question, guys. So let's have a look here. So obviously, you can go to the marketplace. I have a number of jobs here, a number of gigs. Let's just talk through the story ones in particular. Let me see what we got here. So we've got I will help you write your first origin story or Epiphany Bridge story. So this is basically you're doing it yourself. You have my guidance, you have my process, and I will review it and give you directions on how to do it. Here's the wow statement that I showed you, my own one for LinkedIn. Here is Epiphany Bridge call, a setup call. So I'll go through, I'll have a call with you, help you kind of get started on the right footing. So that could be going for you guys to pick up. Offer hack your funnel, and here's the big one that I have done with Funnel Rolodex. I'll plan out and rewrite your origin story, Epiphany Bridge story script. Okay, so this is not a short one like that. It's about 700 to 1,000 words. Ideal for a blog post or 5 email introduction to your product or service. Okay, I have some others. Heat map software for 3 months. Here's one that you might be interested in. $5 to ask me a question and get $1,000 value back. Basically, listen, I'm putting this out to have a bit of fun and try it. It's email answers. Um, and I'm going to put an upsell for a call for maybe $20 or something like that. So I'm not sure if that's there at the moment, but I'll do that afterwards. So $5 for an email, or if you want to have a video call with me. I am maxing that out at 10 at the moment, because to be honest, I'm quite busy. And then I'll work with your headline and our sub headline squeeze page. Okay. Now let me go back here. So there's a few more. I want to show you just two of my openers and two of my long emails. So this is 5 emails. This is my own story. What now? These are the names of the emails. And then so what now? I wondered as I sat in my car in Dublin, Ireland on a cold, wet morning in March. I ran from the office because I'd been trying to dodge the raindrops. I sat in the car park for a second thinking I had just been made redundant. I never thought it would come to this, but in a chain of events that I would end up sipping coconuts in Mexico. Who would? Okay. So this is just to get their attention, get them bought in, get them to go, okay, what's happening? How did he end up in Mexico? What happened? Why was he made redundant? All these sort of questions. I'm really kicking people off to get people engaged and come the whole way through the journey and the 5 emails. Okay. And this is a new one that I've just done recently. I won't go into that one. Similar enough. I'm going to offer new. This is completely different, but I think it's really, really interesting. A new service. If any of you are interested, I'm going to put it up at $5, just to get some reviews and get some input. Basically, I can use AI generated software to review your funnel or a competitor's funnel. One screenshot of it, and to give you a look at what it might look like. So here is the one funnel away challenge, and the AI heat mapping software uses user engagement, AI generated user engagement to see how people would engage with your page and to see if there's any issues with it. Okay, and here's how that would look. Okay, with the heat engagement. So again, it's hitting some good places here for this. Obviously, in the heading at the top, it's really powerful. Most of the engagement. The play button is getting good engagement there, and obviously the join the challenge now is getting very good engagement. So this is pretty good here. I did have some questions on the funnel, but yeah, we'll talk about that another day. If you'd like me to review your funnel or to review competitors' funnel, I'm going to talk to Lee about releasing that. I only just put it up this morning, so it's under review at the moment. But it's going to be there for $5 if you want to have a look at it in the next few days. So, and that's me. I can't believe I've knocked this out in 24 minutes. I really thought it was going to take much longer than that. So I'm going to go back and check out if we have any questions.